only way you're going to improve your mental health is when you decide to face your fears, accept your past, and acknowledge the traumatic situations that you had to experience in your life. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. With that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, it's not for you, don't force it, let it fly. But most importantly, grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. In this video, we're going to go over and discuss how to improve our mental health, what that is going to look like for you, and what has helped me along my healing journey as well. We have some recommendations, some reminders, and disclaimers. Now, if you're new here, we've talked about mental health. I'm a mental health specialist, aka a naturopathic physician. We motivate, we inform, we educate. Take what resonates, leave the rest. When it comes to your mental health, number one, you must identify what you feel. You must identify how you feel. So you have to be honest and you have to be willing to be vulnerable. If you're not willing to be honest, if you're not willing to be vulnerable, this video is not going to resonate with you, and neither is my content. So send it and share it to somebody who does. But if you're choosing to be here, you have been warned. In order to improve your mental health, you must learn how to become vulnerable. Healing is not a one-size-fits-all. It could take weeks, months, days, and years. As a mental health specialist, as a person, as a naturopathic physician, as somebody who has gone through experiences in life, this is something that I have to do daily and have been doing my entire life. But that is because I have learned emotional intelligence over time and certain resources and certain privileges. Enough about me, back to you. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to realize what has happened to you, what was in your control, where you had certain resources and where you lacked. Until you're able to be honest and talk about how you feel and acknowledge what you had to learn from and what you need to improve from, you're constantly going to deal with psychological warfare. You're constantly going to be double-minded. You're constantly going to be confused. You're constantly not going to be able to think for yourself, and you're going to continue the PTSD. You're going to continue to have schizophrenia. You're going to continue to be paranoid. You're going to continue to have anxiety and continue to be depressed and continue to be bipolar and to continue to deal with any mental issues which lead to physical health and your health and your emotions and how you carry yourself, which can lead to diseases because that's where it stems from. Okay? So number two, when improving your mental health, you have to realize that you have emotions. You were born with emotions. Anything can trigger your emotions. So until you learn that you have emotions, until you validate your emotions, until you are able to be aware of your emotions and how your emotions make you feel, once again, you will have an irregular nervous system or disruptive nervous system. People talk about nervous systems. You got to heal your nervous system. You can't heal your nervous system if you don't even realize that you're easily angered, or maybe you don't know how to articulate yourself, that you've been suppressing your feelings. Maybe you weren't taught and shown how to communicate. Maybe you don't know what words to use. Maybe you get easily overwhelmed. Maybe you're overstimulated. It is a deep-rooted issue, but as your favorite mental health specialist, we break it down, okay? And we get to the point. We get to the source. This is a solution-based content. Now, am I going to be able to break everything down in this video? No. So let me know if you guys want a part 2 or watch other videos. I've talked about this, okay? With that being said, number 3, when it comes to you improving your mental health, you are going to have to take your time. Learning and unlearning trauma when you've never been taught and shown, when you've never gone to a therapist, when you've never seen a psychiatrist, when you don't have a guidance counselor, when you don't have community, when you don't have anybody to confide in, if you're not booking a service in a session, if you're not seeking a wellness professional, if you're not getting tested or getting diagnosed or seeking some type of assistance to help you mentally, if you don't believe like in God or the ancestors in the universe, and I'm not here to force religion or spirituality, you will be hard on yourself, and this is going to continue to have these cycles and these patterns. A lot of times our mental health has been distorted based off of the trauma that we've had to endure. So the earlier you've been impacted with trauma, the more, let me rephrase what I'm about to say. The more likely it is that you would be considered to be someone with a disability or dysfunction. When all actuality, a lot of times it's people's emotions not being regulated, people's emotions not being validated, and people not being able to be themselves, like control and manipulation. Like, that's the tea, that's the topic, that's what doctors don't want to tell you, even though they could. But I'm gonna keep it cute. Instead of diagnosing people and saying they have this and that, I personally, that's why I became a mental health specialist, a naturopathic physician who heals people internally and holistically before physically, because it's like, you don't have to have anxiety for the rest of your life. You don't have to be autistic for the rest of your life. You don't have to have ADHD. You don't have to be depressed or bipolar your entire life. It stems from what we've been accustomed to. Now, if it's a physical disability, and I'm gonna keep it cute, some of those things can be fixed, right? Or may be different. But when it comes to our mental health and our emotions are in alignment. Our whole body is. Okay? That's what people don't want you to know. Improving your mental health is realizing that you have to learn how to be aware of your emotions, be aware of your surroundings, and be aware of yourself. Until you learn how to deal with trauma and certain things that has happened to you, you're going to think that there's something wrong with you. A lot of times people have been diagnosed with certain conditions because of the trauma, not because they're genuinely just angry people. One day they're happy and one day they're sad, because that's literally like basically diagnosing a baby and saying they're bipolar when they haven't been taught and shown, or their frontal lobe hasn't even developed yet to express themselves. So when it comes to the labels and the titles and attachments, we don't deal with that. And I have no problem having this conversation with any doctor that is not holistic or in wellness, because it needs to be said. You have a lot of people in this world who think that they're anxious when it's not their energy. And as somebody who has seen dysfunction and grew up with certain people who were dysfunctional, quote unquote, it was literally because of the trauma that they've experienced and projected and deflected. We pick up on environments and energies based off of what we see in our everyday life. So if you have initially certain environments that have been set up to fail you, to cause you to be mentally imbalanced, emotionally imbalanced, or even financially imbalanced, it's going to cause a lot of fluctuations of emotions, because you're not able to be stable, you're being controlled, you're being manipulated. So when it comes to your mental health, you have to realize this is not something that you just do for a day. Until you're able to, like I said, go to the source on what has happened to you every single moment that you consider to be traumatic, until you're able to go to the source, until you're able to realize the cause and the effect and come up with solutions and talk about it and grieve and be vulnerable and be honest, it's going to be a cycle and it's not going to change. And when it comes to medication, I'm going to be honest, I personally would not recommend people being prescribed medicine, because the medicine is not going to cure you if you don't make the change behaviors. It can treat it in the moment. That's like if you get sick, a doctor will prescribe you medicine in the moment to treat the infection or the virus. But if you're not making the necessary changes to stay healthy, it may happen again. And doctors can make money if they took the time to make medicine that was curing people instead of treating them and finding solutions to help people. These are the conversations they don't want to have. And this is why I stop because what I was going to say versus what I genuinely feel, and that's what we do over here. We tell the truth and nothing but the truth. That's it. Like, when it comes to improving your mental health, like, that's what you really need to know. I was not socially awkward growing up as a child. I was around people I wasn't able to be myself around. I know how to communicate. Like, these labels and these attachments and these titles, that's not true. I didn't have anxiety. I grew up around people who were insecure and unstable. So when you're around people who are insecure and unstable, if I didn't know who I was, I would have thought, oh yeah, I'm anxious, I have social anxiety. No, I'm around people who are considered to be dysfunctional and their nervous system isn't regulated. But as a child, like I said, if you weren't taught and shown who you are, which I was very fortunate to know as a child who I was, everyone is not. So when it comes to improving your mental health, you also have to realize that it is okay that you went through certain things and that you shouldn't be embarrassed or ashamed, but you can't compare, and we can't constantly seek validation and be envious of people. Like, you have to be okay with figuring out who you are. And that's the reason why I made that comment. You have to know who you are. If I didn't know who I was, I wouldn't be able to make these videos. You have to be confident in order for you to improve your mental health. You have to want to improve your mental health. You have to want to realize, why do you have these limitations and these doubts and these fears? Me personally, there's not a lot of things that I've been insecure about when it comes to my life. I had one insecurity before, and I've talked about it over and over and over again. And the reason why I had the insecurity at the time was because I was uneducated. I was unaware. The insecurity that I had, it wasn't something that was common or familiar amongst people in my community at that time. It wasn't until I became educated and I was aware that a lot of things, like I said, that we feel that cause these traumatic situations, we're not even aware of. Like, being touched on inappropriately, you may not realize that it's inappropriate at an early age. And it's not until later that psychologically, because trauma changes your mindset and your emotions and your feelings, later on you realize. And what happens is, when you stay silent, when you don't speak up for yourself, you suppress your feelings. And this is where depression comes from. This is when people become anxious. This is how people become bipolar. This is how people end up taking their lives and taking other people's lives. This is when people start to have sins. You can't be silent when it comes to you improving your mental health. Don't worry about people judging you or shaming you or making fun of you, because those people have been traumatized too. A lot of people that want you to be quiet are the people who abuse and hurt and harm you. Like, there are a lot of people who have done things to traumatize me. I'm speaking up about it because at the end of the day, who's going to check me? And I'm not afraid of you all. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take a stand. Everybody. Shout out to Eminem, okay? Everyone knows Eminem is the GOAT. But, like, yeah, like, afraid of who? Afraid of what? You can't be afraid. If these people didn't want people to know about their character, then they would work on themselves. Because you could do certain things and change your ways. Like, I've had to forgive a lot of people in my life, you guys. I've had to forgive a lot of people. And when it's time, when it's necessary, you guys want to know a little bit more about me and the exact traumatic situations that I've gone through. But I had to forgive people now. Just because I forgive these people doesn't mean I forgot or that it's all dandy-landy, because it's definitely not. But I will say, out of 100%, around like 90%, 95%, all the people and the places and things have been removed and are continuing to be removed. And I don't worry about, because like I said, I know how the universe works. I know that the sun has to spin around, and okay? Meaning, what you put out, it does come back to you. I'm telling you from experience. But it's like, you can't be scared. And if you are, book your service and your session. Make sure you're watching these notes. But at the end of this video and every video, the goal is to motivate you, educate you, and inform you, but to face your fears. Because it's like, why do you need to be afraid of certain people, places, and things? It's no reason to have fear or to be controlled or to be manipulated when a lot of times, like I said, people's mental health has been distorted at an early age because of confusion, corruption, chaos, and people trying to be in control and manipulating and greed and all these things that are not in our human nature genuine. That's how you improve your mental health. You speak the F up, you cry, you're going to yell, scream, and shout. You're going to find ways, like I said, to come up with solutions and cope. You're going to be patient with yourself. You're not going to compare yourself. And most importantly, as you're improving your mental health, you're going to continue to surround yourself and engage with people like myself who pour into you, who motivate you, who educate you, who finance you, and who accept you, who allow you to be you. If you can't talk about your feelings without people judging you or making you feel bad or not believing you, they're not for you. And once you realize a lot of people don't even deal with their own emotional issues, you're not going to be embarrassed or worried about people judging you about the situations you've been through, because it's not funny. It's not funny at all. And if people were to speak up more and more about it, it wouldn't continue. We don't have people holding people accountable. We don't have people leading by example. You have people that are willing to profit and sell and mislead people. And it's like, doing all of that for money, you guys, I'm gonna let you know right now, it's not giving what it's supposed to give. Because even with that work hard culture, it's a lot of illusions, it's a lot of traps, and it's not worth it. There's so many other ways that you can do certain things. So when it comes to you improving your mental health, all you have to do is just be vulnerable. You're gonna have days where you're mad, you're gonna have days where you're upset because you may not even been aware. And when your innocence is taken away or you don't know, that's what causes the anger and the frustration. Like when you live your life and you mind your business and people are going out their way to traumatize you or hurt and harm you, you don't even think the same way as them because it's not in your nature. That maybe that's how you weren't taught and raised or shown. And it's not until certain things happen to you and then you become cold. Don't become like the people who try to hurt and harm you. I will never be like the people that try to hurt and harm you. Ever. And for those of you who say never, I know I'm not going to act like that. I know I don't want to be like that. So I continue to work on that. And when you're working on your mental health, you make sure that you're surrounding yourself, like I said, with people who are there for you and people who are not going to provoke you. Once you realize that someone's trying to provoke you, and like I stated that you have to practice, you don't need to surround yourself with them. And you guys, this ponytail, I'm about to take it off literally in like 2 seconds to end this video. But it's like improving your mental health takes time. And until, like I said, you seek therapy or assistance. And if you are going to take medicine, the goal is not to have to stay on it forever. No medicine you should take your entire life. Like, to be dependent on. Because that's another thing. That's a different topic within itself. The side effects, and I have no problem calling it out. I have no problem calling it out. The psychological effects that you have to take to be dependent on a person or a thing or a substance, red flag. Now, it's nothing wrong with maybe 1-2 times, like I said, yearly, right, as things come up, but the goal is not to be on it forever or to be dependent or feel like you need this. Because if you need something outside of you to make you feel good, that's the illusion within itself. That's the gag, okay? So let me know if you guys want me to elaborate and get into the nit and grit, okay? My camera did get cut off, so I was just trying to go off of what I was talking about. Make sure you guys like this video, comment down below, subscribe, turn on your post notifications if you're not already, and let me know what you want to talk about. Don't be afraid to stay judge-free. Platform, this is for the mature audience only, so if you're not mature, then the content's not for you, okay? If you know anybody who has mental health issues and wants to improve it, send it and share it to somebody who does. Seek assistance, seek authorities, book a service and a session with me, see a psychiatrist, see a therapist. And if you need to, if you're on medication currently, I'm not telling you to not take your medicine, but I just want you to think. That's what I will say. I'm going to challenge you to do some critical thinking. I need you to, if you are on medication, when it comes to mental health, I want you to ask yourself, why am I taking this medication? And I don't mean vaguely. I don't mean surface level. Like, why do I need this medication? I want you to think about that. Why do I need medication to regulate my emotions when I can identify how I feel, when I know why I'm sad or why I'm angry, when I just need somebody to listen to me, when you don't feel seen or heard. Because if you're taking medicine to regulate your emotions because you're triggered because something happened to you at the age of 5 or 6, what is the medicine going to do? Is it going to solve your trigger that you have? Or, like, you feel me? Like, I'm just going to end off the video. I just want you guys to think.